2,700 yards passing last year, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but then that dangerous element there with the ground game, 605 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. So I would have him number 2. And then at number 3, I went with Josh Hoover. They run that system there under Sonny Dykes that he's going to put up really good numbers. So he has it stats-wise. TCU is another sleeper team this year you can maybe look at in the conferences if we're talking about sleeper contender teams. I think the Horned Frogs are a definite candidate. Hoover had a really good season last year. Nearly 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns versus only 11 interceptions, and has a good chance to have a really good year again this season. So for me, that's what I went with. It's the top 3, but certainly a lot of other quarterbacks that are probably deserving to be, at or near the top of the list of Big 12 quarterback rankings. But I think Sam Levitt, to me, is inarguably at the top, but that's just how I feel.
What do you think about Rocco Beck, though, with Iowa State? He was the guy last year where, Iowa State basically starts Big 12 championship and it's down 21-0 almost immediately. It was just a blowout from the get-go. Hard to come back from that. But this is going to be Beck's 3rd year coming in as a starter. And so you'd figure this would be the year he definitely puts it all together. Last year, there was some BYU was getting their season spoiled by some Iowa State games and some other games like KU. But Iowa State just, to me, they've got a great head coach. They've got a great quarterback. Can they... I don't want to say get over the hump when you make the Big 12 championship game because you're already so good, but I don't think anyone thought at the end of the season, Iowa State's going to be just incredible. But they're always there. So what do you think about him?
Yeah, Iowa State, man, they're just so incredibly consistent. If nothing else, it's like they just sneak up on you. Sometimes they start the year. They got upset, by who was it, Ohio or somebody, then still ended up having a great season. And I think that they always are that team under Matt Campbell that seems like when November comes around, they're going to be in contention, knocking on the door to compete for that conference title since he got them turned around a few years ago. Rocco Beck, for me, is another one that I would certainly have in my top 5. Flirted with having him at number 3 on the list. But as I talked about, I tried to keep my WVU bias out of this list as much as possible. And I was like, man, if I put Rocco Beck on here, it's really going to start to show it too much because, of course, his dad, Anthony Beck, played tight end for WVU, probably the best tight end WVU's had in school history still to this day. And so I was like, man, I can't let my bias show too much and have Rocco Beck on here as well. But I'm a big fan of him. I think that he's super consistent. Just one of those guys that you don't hear a ton about. He doesn't necessarily have, the star power, the flashiness of a lot of guys that you typically see at the quarterback position. But what's I like most about Rocco Beck is that he just is a winner, finds ways to get it done and win games, and consistently will have TCU competing and in contention. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that again this season and have a really good year. And I think, most impressively is how he's done it. Like you said, this will be his 3rd year starting. So, he's done it since, the beginning, really, since he was a really young player. And that was kind of thrust upon him after that gambling scandal and Hunter Deckers was forced out there of Iowa State. He kind of stepped up and said, all right, now it's my time to shine, and took it over like it was nothing. And it has been rolling ever since. So I think he'll have a really good season this year and definitely can make a case for him being one of the top quarterbacks in the conference.
Yeah, Hunter Deckers thing, man. I saw he got drafted in the NFL, and I was like, wait, what happened with this guy again? And I had to kind of relearn the whole deal.
It was a blur.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. He's part of the NCAA's kind of gambling scandal where it seems like there's nothing happening anymore where you could get kicked out of the NCAA. But gambling on your own team to win games, that probably was nail in the coffin. That's kind of a, I don't know where it lies in the, you're fine, go ahead for it. I just don't know how that happens. But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not the guy who's on the team or close to it. So I'm not there to make the decision either way. As far as it comes to the defensive side, I chose 2 positions here. So feel free to talk about like another position if you wanted to, but middle linebacker and defensive end, those are the guys in my mind that are going to make the, all Big 12 weekly honors or whatever, and get some of the key tackles in the game, interceptions, at least linebacker. Maybe it's going to be the corners, maybe it's going to be the safeties, but as far as it comes to like middle linebackers in the Big 12, did you have any consensus kind of top 3 or 6 or 1?
Yeah, I think for me, there was a couple names that really stood out on the list. I think to me, there's like a top 2, and then, when I was looking for 3, there was a few names that I was looking at, and it's a little bit more up in the air there. I think for me, the top 2, when I looked at it on paper, there's always a chance of me overlooking somebody. That's potential as well. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell who's going to be where with all the transfers in and out and the movement. Is this guy returning? Did he go to the draft? Who do they have coming in to replace him? There may be a really talented linebacker coming into the league that I'm not aware of yet. But I think that Keaton Thomas at Baylor really great season last year, 100+ tackles, all conference, all Big 12 team. Like what he brings to the game there. Dave Aranda, obviously knows what he's doing with the defense. Keaton Thomas is someone that's developed a ton since early in his career to become the player that he is now. Actually began his career, I think, as a preferred walk-on at WVU back in the day, interestingly enough. So, what he's developed into throughout his career is really phenomenal to watch his track record and to see what Dave Aranda and the Baylor staff's been able to do with him has been really impressive to the point where he had 100+ total tackles last season, all Big 12 performer, and now I think can be considered, potentially maybe the top returning linebacker in the conference.